So the temperature at night are starting to be over 10 degrees. And as we spoke in the last garden tour, we have our little friend the leaf moth that's gonna come around and lay their eggs on any of the allium plants. And they start doing that whenever the temperature gets over 10 degrees, so their caterpillar can survive at night. Once the caterpillar hatch out, it's gonna start eating the leaves and causing damage to the plant. If the plant is not strong enough, it could lead to disease or even death of the plant. And since I want to harvest, I'm gonna go ahead and protect my allium plants, which is gonna be the onions and the garlic for this garden. So to do that, I am personally gonna use some netting with hoop house, as I was saying in the garden tour. So I'm gonna show you how I made my hoop house. Well, my hoops. Um, but if you are not interested in making them, you could always just go ahead and go buy them. I don't think, well, there wasn't any at my garden center, but if you're from the Quebec region, the Urban Culture has some on their shop, so you could go ahead and go buy them over there and be able to protect your plants in general. Other ways, you could always try to just intercrop things so the smell of the allium plants is lessened, but it's not the best way if you ask me. But if you think that the knitting is ugly, I totally understand that. If it comes that the leaf moth is laying its eggs on your plants, you could just pick the caterpillar, or in last case scenario, you could theoretically use BT. BT's organic pesticide, but it is still a pesticide, which means it's gonna kill the caterpillar that you want to kill, but it's also gonna kill any insect in the region that you're applying. That could cause problem, since if you don't have prey insects to kill, let's say aphids, well, you'll have to apply and apply and apply again. This is not how I want to do it in my garden. I want my garden to take care of itself for insect and things like in such things. If the insect doesn't have a prey, which is kind of the case for the moth right now, we don't have anything preying on it, so that's why I'm gonna take precautions. On that, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to make the hoops. For the hoops, I'm using galvanized utility wire. So over here, what you see me doing is taking my first measurement, which is at 1 foot. By using the cutter, I will put a dent in my wire. This mark is gonna guide me once I go to install the hoops in the ground. The thickness of the wire is 9 gauge. At this size, it is small enough to be pliable, but thick enough to stay strong. So for more stability, you want to put them rather deep so that you can withstand the elements such as strong gusts of wind. And that's why I measure 1 foot. So I'm going to continue straightening my wire. And then I'm going to take my second measurement, which is going to be 2 feet tall. And from there, I'm gonna bend the top of the hoop to make the roof. I will take the time to check my distance between my 2 branches. For this one, I put 2 feet distance between them. Once this measurement is taken, I will continue to unwind the wire and straighten it again the best I can. Once I am satisfied, I'm gonna take my measurement to measure 2 feet again and put my second mark. And once my second mark is done, I'm gonna go straighten, measure 1 foot. If I don't forget to put my finger on that, yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Here we go, 1 foot. So I'm gonna use the cutter, and as you can see, I am struggling. The cutter I used were not the best to go and cut through the wire, so I ended up just taking it in my hand and bending it over until it gave in. Final little straightening. In preparation for the protection of the garlic, I'm gonna put some mulch down. Since the grass isn't long enough to be mowed, I have to use something else to cover the soil. Over the winter, I came across some interesting studies. I'll try to mulch with my dog undercoat, aka their fur, but only in my garlic patch as a little experiment since it won't be blown away by the wind with the netting I'm gonna install over it. To be clear, the study I read were speaking of wool, sheep wool, but if you ever had a double coated dog, you know it's pretty dang close. The main reason for using some mulch in the garden is to act as a weed barrier. If you didn't know, garlic doesn't like sharing its space at all. If it doesn't have enough room, if it doesn't have enough room to grow, it will produce smaller bulbs, and who wants that? Side note, as I am applying the mulch, I am removing any existing weeds so they don't go ahead and poke through the fur I just put down. Another reason I'm using mulch is water retention. Since the sun is not hitting the soil directly, it's gonna reduce the evaporation, and then this way you'll have to water less over the hot summer days. Now for the wool part. Well, we use it as a fiber in our clothing, so it's necessarily a good insulator. If you ever put your hand in a dog coat, you know they get hot under there, which means it could regulate the temperature of the soil. Some studies were made on strawberries, and the use of wool mulch treatment in strawberries found that maximum temperature were constantly lower and minimum temperature were consistently higher than those without wool. So the translation of that is, in summer the wool helped the ground stay cooler, and in the winter it stayed warmer than without the wool. Some other benefits is in the long run. The fur of the dog contains some nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium, which means whenever they're going to break down, it's going to release some nutrient in the soil. It should be noted that the quantity released will be relatively small. So enough on the fur. In my research, I also went to look up how far apart we're supposed to put the hoops. It's said to put the hoops every 4 to 6 feet, depending on the length of your beds. Since I have 10 feet beds, I decided to put one on each hand of the beds and one in the middle. I know, in the clip it's not centered, but be reassured, I moved it afterward. For the second bed, I kind of ran out of fur, but I'll have to wash my dog in the next few weeks, so I'll collect some more fur and patch the few spots I couldn't put it down. And in the clip, you saw me watering the fur and patting it down, and that is to be certain it won't fly away before I could install the netting, and also make sure it forms a mat, so the weed will have an even harder time to go and poke through. So my camera record none of that while I was doing it, so sorry I'm not really doing it. It's gonna be too long. But hey, what I did is, let me grab you. So what I did, how I did that is I put, well, this one is not a good example. Let me go to this one. So what I did is I put a rope going all the way down to the last hoop, and I put one on the top, one on here, and one on this side. So this way, it's helping it not to move. And I've got my netting on. As you can see, I took it a little too short, or my oops are, let's be honest, my oops are too tall. So yeah, that's that. Uh, so that's what I did. I will try and figure out if I return the nets to get some longer one or not. But yeah. So that's all for the garlic. I'll have to do the onions, but as you can see, like I'm losing light, so I'm gonna probably do it like tomorrow. On that, well, have a great weekend, and don't forget